But apart from that, free.
Huh? Good attracts good.
Today we have a special guest, and we are going to hear her story. Any crypto project, any meme coin project is nothing without community. The stronger the community, the stronger the project, the higher the quality of the people in the community, the more robust, the more strong the project can grow. Today we're joined by Georgie from France. We've been going all around the world. Yesterday we were in Greece. We were in where else? I got my whole list here. We've been all over the world, but today we're in France, and we're going to talk to Georgie. What I think is really cool about our project is we are truly spread out all over the world, and that gives us an opportunity to grow bigger and bigger. But without further ado, I want to welcome Georgie to the basement. Georgie, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing very well. Thank you, Ron. Thank you for having me. I'm a little bit nervous this morning, but this is it's my second live stream debut, because we did one in Paris, obviously, when we were there in person. So yeah, but very excited to be here. So thank you for having me in the basement today.
Yeah, we did a live stream from what's it called? The Louvre, right? The big art museum. Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, and it's honesty is one of the things we preach in UFD. So I appreciate your honesty in telling me that you're a little nervous. And I told you before I go on, depends on the day, but I get nervous before I do live streams. So it's okay. The important thing is, and we talk about that in our community, is sometimes you face your fears and you come out on the other side a lot better. So thank you, Georgie, for joining us and representing the country of France. And I think you're originally from the UK, if I have that correct.
I am indeed, yes. So I'm representing both countries today. So yeah. And like you said, it is quite natural. When I first started doing spaces, I remember back in the day, it was actually Dark Duster that suggested to me I started doing the marketing spaces with P, and I was like, I can't do that. I don't know anything about it, and I've never done a space before. And then I think the first space I went on, P said, don't worry, I've done loads before. She said, you'll be fine. I'll do everything. You just kind of sit and join in. And then she went, oh, I've got internet problems, so you're going to have to run the space. And then I was like, so from there, it's now they're just kind of like, old hat. We're used to that, but this is very different. So very excited to be here.
Well, I'm in the basement in St. Louis. You're in Paris, France. When you talk about doing those spaces, when you talk about how you've gotten involved in the community, I know that you've made some really great friends. I know I consider you a good friend. We met in person. I've got a picture I can pull up later when we were in Paris, France. And there really is a benefit to getting involved. And I understand, right? Like, I hate public speaking, and what we're doing is a form of public speaking. But when you get out there and you get involved, there's really some great benefits. When I think about our community and I think about the quality of people that we have in UFD, I truly believe that sets us apart. And I put you in that super high quality person category, which I think is one of our superpowers, right? As we build this project every day with good people. So I want to ask you, give us a rundown, like, let's say a year ago now, 2 years ago now, what was your involvement with crypto? And like, what's your story? How did you get involved in UFD?
So my involvement in crypto about a year ago was pretty much when I got involved in UFD, actually. I'd had a little bit of Bitcoin before, and I kind of didn't even realize I had it. It was in an account that I didn't realize, and it had kind of gone up a little bit. And then I'd always kind of wanted to get into some other form of crypto as well. But a friend of mine, Charlie Makes, who you all know, she makes the little figurines and stuff like that. Yeah. It's also a duster. who you also met in Paris.
Yeah.
She basically, we were at a party together, and they mentioned something called unicorn fart dust to Ollie. He didn't mention it to me that night because he knew as soon as you mentioned unicorns, I'd be all over it. So we looked into it the next day, and as soon as he said, right, unicorn fart dust, I was like, right, sign me up. Where do I go? What do I do? And at the beginning, we kind of just bought, I think we bought like 500 euros worth. The markets crashed. And we sort of said, oh, okay, well, we'll buy a little bit more. The markets crashed again. But yeah, from there, we kind of, I remember being on your very first space, because again, X and everything was completely new to me. I'd never been on X. I vowed I would never go on X, actually, or TikTok or any of the other stuff like that. And now I'm on every single media platform you can possibly imagine. But yeah, I remember you being on your very first space that you did. And so I was there for ages thinking, oh, should I request to be a speaker? Should I not? And eventually I was like, right, I'm going to go for it. And I've told people this story before, but the next day you were on a live, and I got to speak to you. And then, you were on a live the next day. And I remember you saying, I've even spoken to a lady in France. And I literally...
I remember that. Yeah.
I literally jumped around my kitchen. I was like, oh my God, that's me. I was like, I am that lady in France. And then from there, it kind of progressed. And now, we chat on most days on a daily basis, and very much involved in the project. And at the beginning, I remember thinking, I feel like because I've spoken to you and everything else, I feel like I can actually make a difference here and actually get involved. This is like something, where I can get involved and kind of, sink my teeth into. And so then, it's all kind of gone from there, and the rest is history. So it's been one hell of a year in crypto. And like I said, it's been a massive learning curve. Learning about all the ins and outs of it. I'm by no means a crypto expert or anything else like that, but I have definitely found a little place within our little community. So I love it, and I've made loads of friends along the way.
Yeah. Now that you talk about, I forgot about that. I remember early on, right? Because I was learning, and it was very early in the journey. When I met you, I guess initially, in being fascinated by the fact that there was a woman in France who was originally British that was in our community, right? Like that's when it really started to dawn on me, like this is, and it hit me like, oh, this is not just the United States. I think a lot of Americans, we think very, USA centric, and that's all there is. And I was like, wait a minute, there's a whole big world out there of really cool, good people that can be part of this community. And with this unbelievable gift that we have right now, right, this technology that I think I'm guilty of taking for granted at times, like we can actually, I was good friends with you before I met you in person, right? And I had the pleasure of meeting you in person, but we can actually develop like real emotional connections, real friendships as part of like a group with a shared mission. And it's a pretty cool thing. It's my first time really being involved in Web3. But I think that it's like we're really lucky to be alive right now during this period. Yeah. And you got a dog that agrees too. Hold on. Okay. All right. We lost Georgie. She's going to go take care of her puppy for a few minutes. But guys, that's like something I think that is a super special situation that we're in right now. So that is awesome, Georgie. And then you got highly involved in the project, and tell us a little bit about what that journey's been like over the last, 9 or 10 months, because I think I remember the first time that it really hit me what a special community we had, but also what you were doing was when I was in Las Vegas last year, I think in March at the Bitcoin conference, and you organized this big neon billboard truck that we had. And I thought, this is crazy. Again, I thought we've got this British woman in France who's completely, and there were other people involved, no doubt about it. There always are. But I kind of felt like spearheaded this thing. I thought, I'm in Las Vegas and we've got this neon truck. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it has been a mental experience. And like you said, it's been really nice to kind of be involved in this project, because being my first crypto, it's just lovely to kind of be in, and like I've said before, you've got to be careful, obviously, because there's still people out there that want to take advantage and stuff like that. So obviously you have to be careful. Do not click on links, as you know, Ron. But yeah, it's just been lovely to be in an environment where you can learn about it in kind of like a relatively safe community, and a community that are just willing to kind of like help out and help each other. And yeah, it has been very surreal. It went from, like I said, from chatting with you on a space to then doing these weekly marketing things to kind of I think it was Kane at the time mentioned something about doing a billboard in Las Vegas. And I thought, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know how we go about doing that. And then all of a sudden I was organizing it. Next minute you're in Vegas, what looks like in front of like a little nightclub going down, going down the street. And yeah, it's just been very surreal. Then obviously I've, been up to Paris to meet you. I'm now thinking of trying to get over to MemeCon in Vegas. It's definitely nothing like I thought my year was going to turn out like, because I live in quite a sleepy little place in rural France. So it's a very different experience, but it's been one that I have definitely embraced. And UFD is now kind of takes up my whole life. I love it. So obviously we get ups and down days, but in the whole, I love it.
Yeah, and it's wild that everything that has happened in UFD, and I think it's one of our massive strengths that we have in our project. Everything that's happened in UFD is 100% because of the community, right? I mean, it's all been organic, grassroots from the very, very beginning, which makes us different than a lot of the other projects out there, and I think makes us stronger in a lot of ways, or gives us, I don't want to compare us, but gives us this real unique position of strength, and that everything that we have, everything that's gotten us to where we are today has been generated by our community. And I think that and I want to get your opinion on this as well. I think that the meme coin sector is evolving. I think that, it obviously things in crypto move very, very fast, but it feels like there's a shift away from the gambling tokens. And I love humor. I have a warped sense of humor. I'll fully admit that. I love deep, but I think when people now are looking at meme coins, they're starting to look more for projects where they feel they can rely, where they feel they know what they can expect, where they feel like there's a really good group of people that are honest and trustworthy, and I think it really sets us apart.
Yeah, absolutely. And like again, being my first kind of like meme coin, I've been around like a year now doing this, and I feel like I've been around for 10 years.
You have. Yeah, no, you have.
But yeah, it goes so quickly. But I do feel like it is definitely changing, even in the whole year that we've been here. Because before, like, I can't remember how many million or whatever it is meme coins get created and stuff. Whereas now, I think the future, I think things are just going to get more streamlined. I think rather than have all these major amount of projects, I think it's now going to be a bit more streamlined, and people want to focus on the really good projects. And actually, I know like we align ourselves with sort of like, some of the other good projects. I know all will retire, and, all the NFT projects like the Long Neck Legends and things like that. They're all really good projects. And I think it's really nice that we can go and gear and stuff, and we can all work together to try and like help each other rise. Because from what I can gather, up until this point, it's been very much PvP. So everybody's just out for themselves, trying to get what they can, get a quick buck and everything. Whereas now I think we're not like that. We've realized that, the only way everybody succeeds is by succeeding together and by helping to raise each other up and push each other forward. So yeah, I definitely think that the meme coin sector is sort of changing. I'm very excited about MemeCon in April, because I think that's going to be a really cool thing, because that's the first time that they're doing it in America and everything. And I just think it's just going to get bigger and bigger, and I'm very excited to be part of it, and really excited to have got in where I have, because like I said, I think if you'd have got in before, we've had everything thrown at us for the last year. Like I said, I bought my first little bit of crypto, and literally the day after we bought it, the markets crashed. And they just seem to have continued throwing all sorts of stuff at us ever since then. But despite that, because we've got such a great community, and because everybody kind of like rallied around, like we were on spaces for hours and hours, we would pass the time. We've got all our cool NFT projects, so that helped us to pass the time. And I think without the community, we would have fizzled out. You know, you turn up every day, obviously, and so we kind of show up every day. But without all that stuff to keep us going through all this last year of FUD that's just been thrown at us, I think we would have crumbled ages ago. And I think because of the last year we've just proven now that we are, you know, stronger than ever. We've built, you know, the most solid foundation, and we are more ready now than ever to kind of, you know, take this to the next level. So I think the future is very exciting.
I agree, Georgie. And we are the underdog coin. We are the undercorn, right? I mean, when you talk about challenges, yes, we faced, I mean, from the very beginning, right? We were, everybody knows the lore, right? This was a community takeover essentially from day one. And we didn't have a bunch of money. We didn't have a venture capital firm that invested 10 million or anything like that. We didn't have any paid KOLs out there. You're a KOL. I'm a KOL, right? We aren't paid KOLs, and we've got a whole herd of community members that are also KOLs that are out there spreading the word about UFD. But we also faced like a very challenging general crypto market over the last year. We also faced hacks. We faced a lot of very difficult situations. And, you know, we can look back at that with some gratitude because it made us stronger. I mean, if an organization or a project or a movement never has to face any challenges, how do you know how strong they are? And I think what we've proven over the last year is that there's a lot of passion, a lot of heart, and a strong sense of involvement within the community. And you know what? That's what makes crypto. I mean, you know, look, I've learned a lot about crypto in the last year. And one thing I know for sure is even if you look at Bitcoin, right? If people talk about what made Bitcoin successful, everybody says the same thing, the community of people. And so many people have told me that, oh boy, when I look at UFD, I get early Bitcoin day vibes, right? It's like the same thing. And I've got a file of emails or DMs, whatever, that I've got from people that said, I was early on in Bitcoin, and, you know, and I also own UFD, and, you know what, I mean, like this message coming through because, you know, because of the grassroots kind of wholesome nature of our project, we've adhered to these original ethos of crypto, which, I mean, look, when I think about that and what we're doing from that perspective, plus the quality of the people, reflected, of course, in you. I like to call you Queen Georgie. I hope you don't mind that. That we're in a very, very, very unique and special situation right now.
You know, I'm not Queen. You know that is definitely Queen Susie of UFD.
Upstairs Susie. Yeah.
I don't know. Is 100% Queen.
Yeah, I don't know if she's on today. I have her turned on, but I don't know if she's up. She's been busy dealing with a lot of IRL stuff. I want to show you. I'm going to pull up two things for everybody. Number one, I want to pull up Georgie's profile on X. Here it is right here, Georgie42 at Georgie420. You can go out there and follow her. Georgie puts on and she's going to tell us about a contest that we have going on right now here in a little bit, but she's a great person to follow to keep up to speed with a lot of the events and going ons, contests, and all that within UFD. So there it is right there. You can check her out. But I want to pull this up, Georgie. This caught my eye last night. I thought this was interesting. The Gem Detector, who's a pretty big account, 125,000 followers, said this: Pepe is back above 2.7 billion market cap after bottoming at 1.6. That's up over $1 billion market cap in just 3 days. But this is the cool part. The OG memes. What does OG stand for? Is that like old guy or something? Or like the original? I think maybe.
Original gangster.
Original gangster. Okay, so the original gangster memes are rotating back into focus. If you missed the first move, excuse me, there's still asymmetry elsewhere. And he lists Wojak, Troll, and UFD. And I think there's an important message in that. Like, the market is now recognizing that we are part of, I guess, what they're calling the OG memes, right? Like, we've been around, and like you said earlier, 1 year in crypto is like 10 years in the real world. I think that's a really good sign. And the other thing that I see when I look at that is that our market cap, right, and we talk about this all the time, relative to what we see in most of the other memes, that we represent a pretty darn good value right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're the community with heart, aren't we? And like I said, if we'd have just kind of like launched and this would have become a, you know, a big thing from the beginning, we wouldn't have had those building blocks that we've got, and we wouldn't have had the relationships we've got in the community. And you know, who knows where we would be, because we are definitely the community with heart, and we have, you know, we have shone bright. We've set the building blocks and the foundations, and yeah, now we're in a position. We have never been in a better position to make it fly as it is the last couple of days. So hopefully all of our hard work is now paying off, and we are, you know, starting to come around, and we're about to go to the moon. Sorry, in Jack's words, to Valhalla.
Valhalla. Valhalla. I have you on full screen now, Georgie. This is your own personal live stream, so go ahead. No, you can tell.
It's quite awesome.
All right, I'll come back. I know everybody's dying to see me, right? Yeah. Yeah, you know, I was talking to Jack the other day, and I want to point this out. This is crazy for me to think about. Jack put together this awesome presentation about a lot of the different measurements and metrics within UFD, one of which had to do with social dominance. And we were like in the top 20 on a lot of these measurements in all meme coins, okay, in the top 20. And if you think about the fact that there's 20 million meme coins, right, roughly, maybe a little less, but let's just say roughly 20 million meme coins. If we're in the top 20, that literally means we are like 1 in a million, right? Is that crazy? To me, that's crazy. To me, that says like, in the fact that we did this totally without any real, like, you know, any VC money or any big, you know, whatever. We did this with like the strongest thing possible, and that's people coming together, right? There's nothing more powerful ever in the history of the world than when people join together in a movement and put their combined efforts, right? And that's another cool thing about our project is people put aside their political beliefs, religious beliefs, whatever. That's not what UFD is about. UFD is about something, I don't want to say more than that, but about people coming together for this project that really represents something fair and good for just average people all around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd like, and we've said this many times in spaces and stuff. Like I said, we've spent hours in spaces, and you've got people from different religions, different political backgrounds, different countries, different trading strategies. You know, everybody is coming into this from a different experience and with a different goal and everything. And I just think it's really nice that you're going to get a few little, you know, you can't have a community of however many thousand people without there being a few little niggles here and there, because we're human. But
right.
On the whole part, it's just lovely that we've all come together, and that it's, you know, all those things don't really sort of seem to matter. And like you said, there are so many people. We've got so many people in the community that are working their butts off to, you know, and it's not just people like myself who are kind of like very much, you know, out there and at the forefront and get mentioned quite a few times. There are so many people in the background that have been here since day one, since longer than I have been.
Yep.
You know, like Crypto and the Bean and Crypto Paladin and all the people that are kind of like doing their bit in the background, as well as all the people that are now kind of like, you know, newer to the project and stepping up and everything. And so all the artists, all the people that are ball posting, I mean, there's so many different people that you could name. I started trying to write a list earlier, and I was like, I can't, because there's just way too many people to mention. You know, doing that bit. All the people that have come up and started doing spaces, and that's one lovely thing that I've found about UFD is watching everybody's journeys through it. So, like for example, Brandon Arnold and Mason as well, actually, and a few other people, Christopher, Robin. There's been quite a few people that when we first started, they wouldn't even speak on a space. They were always just listeners, and then eventually they've come up as a speaker. Then they've started hosting their own spaces. Now Brandon's doing his, morning walk every day, and it's just evolving. And it's so lovely to see people pushing themselves out of their comfort zone and just evolving to be these sort of like, really rounded kind of human beings that are just spreading the word of UFD everywhere. And it's a beautiful thing to see.
Unicorn Fart Dust, an opportunity for personal growth and community growth.
Exactly. We've got, like UFD Corral. I imagine UFD Corral a year ago was sitting in his house, not imagining that he would, that he would now have his own merch line and be he's our little detective. He seems to find everybody's addresses, which is bit off-putting to send them like little care packages to and everything else like that. And now he's got this whole other life that he never had, a year ago. So it's just really nice to see everybody kind of coming out of their shells and doing their thing. And speaking of UFD Corral, I was originally wearing a lovely UFD Corral jumper, but it's very hot in here, so I had to strip off my dabbing unicorn instead.
Yeah. There's a rapper from St. Louis, Nelly, who has a song. It's getting hot in here, so yeah, we're just taking all our clothes off, right? It's about UFD, an opportunity for personal growth and community growth. That's the message of the day. But there really is. I'm going to repeat it. And Susie upstairs, Susie, I'm surprised she hasn't chimed in. She calls me Repeater Ron, but it bears repeating this. We've got so many things. Like, we are a powerfully simple project, right? Not complicated, easy to understand. Oh, I got to write something down here before I forget. Hold on, Georgie. Okay.
Right. I've got my notebook too to write stuff down. Yeah. My memory's like a sieve.
I know. I think of things and then it's gone like 2 seconds later. But we've got this community power that, again, right, that is everything in the world, in the history of the world, but in particular now that it's kind of been concentrated down on Web3 and the blockchain and everything else, it really is a superpower. The other one is, like, we're not a meme coin that's like hyper focused on one niche, right? Like, we're not just about one celebrity, or we're not about people that like to go fishing, or we're not about a particular piece of food, or like we are about good attracts good. And I think that's another, like, our Emma Bear, who's a person who was very active in our community, put out a report like 6 months ago about total addressable market. And like, we can appeal to so many people throughout the world because most of the people in the world are good. But the other thing that I get excited about is that we've got this awesome, like, meme, like, we have culture, like a timeless, like, we are aligned with the unicorn, and we've got our awesome IP, which puts us in, I think Connector yesterday said there's only like maybe 15 meme coins that actually own their IP. But like, we're kind of like, and I hesitate to use this example, but I can't think of a better one right now, like Santa Claus, right? The image of Santa Claus, which is timeless, right? It's been around for hundreds of years. It's withstood all different types of technology and changes in the world, whatever. And that's kind of what we have with UFD, right? We have the unicorn and kind of what it stands for, this idea of good attracts good. And I'm sorry I'm talking so much, Georgie. Everybody's probably wishing I would shut up. But, on top of that, what we offer people is a real fair shot. There's so many people, I know in the United States, but I think it's true around the world, that feel like the TradFi system has kind of failed them, that the game is rigged against the average person, right? That I know in the United States, it's like almost impossible for most young people in their 20s and even early 30s to even buy a house at this point, because the system has just become to this point where people are just like basically working sometimes several jobs just to survive. And we've got this very easy to understand, very simple opportunity that really is fair and open, that people all over the world, right? People that can't even get bank accounts can get UFD. And it's a real unique situation. I've talked too long. Go ahead, Georgie.
No, even in my situation, like I'm a nurse, actually. That's my profession. And now, like I said, I live in rural France. I used to travel backwards and forwards to do my nursing to the UK and back here, but then COVID hit. COVID hit so many people. And so now, as a lot of people know, I've got various different jobs. I do nursing over here, a bit of massage, and work at a bar and stuff like that, because you just do lots of little bits to try and get, some money coming in and stuff. And so that was one of the reasons I originally got into the crypto, because we were like, we could maybe make a little bit of money. And like I said, once I joined it, I realized that it was something I could massively sink my teeth into, and it gave me sort of a sense of purpose. Like we always talk about the epidemic of loneliness out there, and there's so many people that are in this space that just are really enjoying having that kind of human interaction with everybody. And it's just like you were saying about the kind of charity stuff. So it's obviously since we've been doing UFD, we've managed to raise and I'm going to say it in Soul, because I know I always tell you to say it in Soul. What we raised, but we raised almost 20 Soul to send to the Live Like a Unicorn charity. And you've been talking about the hope walks and all that sort of stuff, and there's going to be loads more charity stuff that we can do in the future. But aside of that, it's just lovely also seeing the whole community looking out for each other. And I know that there's been several occasions that I've seen where people have been struggling, whether it's with mental health, whether it's financially, whether it's whatever. People have been struggling, and actually the community has reached out. Somebody lost their dad the other day, and he said to me, he was overwhelmed with the amount of support that he's received just from, people reaching out and messaging. So I think it's lovely that we're seeing, we're able to do these charity things outside of UFD, but also kind of look after each other, because as we know, if you make a difference to one person, then that person's going to go on and make a difference to other people. So, you're spreading the message. And as I keep saying to you before, I always thought that, I'm a relatively nice person anyway, but being in this community is just kind of makes you want to take it to the next step and just be even better and a better version of yourself that you can be, which putting yourself outside of your comfort zone definitely helps that. And, we had Ravio next, I can never say his name properly, Rastalan TV.
What a great guy.
Exactly. And he was going through an awful time. And again, we've managed to kind of rally around. And now his brother is a duster. And I know that it's kind of helping him out in his time of need. So it's just a really nice thing to be a part of and be able to kind of spread that, like a big hug to everybody. So
Yep. And I'll be on Friday. I'll be going on the Sportist is his brother. That's his Twitter handle. I'll be going on his live stream to visit with him. So I'll do a short live stream Friday morning, and then I'll be going on with the Sportist because he's continuing, as I understand it, to raise money for cancer charities, and a great guy, right? And you know what? I will always support, and I think they'll support us too, right? Which is a great example with the Sportist, right? The quality people out there, the quality projects, whether they're massive, huge, and there's some massive, huge ones that have given us support and that we support, or even the smaller ones. There's, I think the good people really need to stick together. What you talked about, Georgie, is powerful, right? People in the community helping other people, that bond, right? And I'll say it for the third time, because community is everything in crypto. And it's been a couple of weeks since I've said it, but one of our superpowers is the fact that our community is our utility, and the community is unlimited in terms of how big it can get. Right? I mean, we are growing and growing, and when I say big, the community within UFD that I'm really focused on are the diamond hoof dusters, right? The people that are here not to visit for a weekend, not to visit for a little short vacation, but the people that are actually going to, buy a house in our neighborhood because they like what they see. They want to develop relationships with the other people they see. And as that continues to grow, and again, the quality of people in this community, I think it can be matched up against any other community out there. That's our utility. That's where ideas like you had about the neon truck sign in Vegas, or DJ Litmus, or any host. Again, I hate to start listing things because I forget, but that's where it comes from. That's where the Live Like a Unicorn charity drive comes from. It doesn't come from me. It doesn't come from a vacuum. It comes from unicorn fart dust, which is real and alive, right? And ultimately that community, right, that is the utility, ultimately that community is reflected in the chart, right? I mean, I talk very little about the price of the token or whatever, because it's important, no doubt about it, right? Don't get me wrong. It's a very important thing. But to me, the community determines the chart ultimately. And so my focus will always be on this community. And that's where the real magic happens. And that's where it's happening right now as you and I are talking. And we have 400 people from around the world that are joining us. Georgie, you're very popular. So I'll be quiet and let you talk a little bit more.
Oh, thank you very much. I think we should give a big clap, round of applause for Connector as well, because as Connector was on yesterday, whilst he was on your live stream, the charts started kind of like going up. So I think he's part of the big reason. He said he was going to dox himself potentially, but he thought it might be too much for the ladies. So thought the chart can go up steadily. But yeah, we're all here doing our thing, and it's like, and I think that's the thing is saying about, with us in UFD, kind of, we're all from different backgrounds and everything else. Yeah. I think that's the thing, is just remembering not to be too judgmental and not to judge on what other people are doing, so long as they're not hurting you or harming you. Just letting people kind of come to it from whatever background they're coming to, from whatever strategy they're going into kind of doing their crypto. Because like I said, I don't trade. A lot of other people do trade. There's so many different things going on, and I think it's about acceptance, and it's just about accepting people for who they are and what they're doing. And I mean, like I think a good visual for what you're describing is, I talk about the corral, right, which is where the dusters hang out. When you put your horn on and you come into the corral, I think what we've learned is people leave outside the corral a lot of their things maybe they feel strongly about, that maybe they don't agree with, but it's okay, right? Leave that stuff outside, come into the corral, have your UFD horn on. And look, here's the bottom line, Georgie. This just came to me. It feels good to be nice, right? It feels good to give somebody a compliment. It feels good. It feels good to be nice to the person at the drive-through window at a fast food restaurant, or to a customer service rep from your cell phone company when you're frustrated. And I think that's kind of the overall feel I get with UFD, that when people come into the corral, right, when the dusters are hanging out, right, whether you're in the diamond hoof section, whether you're a narwhal, whatever, no matter whether you have 10 UFD beans or you have 10 million, it doesn't matter, right? Everybody kind of sets aside a lot of their maybe strongly held and comes in with a spirit of goodwill and a spirit of, I want this project to be successful. I believe that things like integrity matter, and transparency matter, and honesty matters, and people are willing to do their part and make this what it is right now. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's like you say, it's nice to be nice. Like when I was working on the wards in the UK, if people phoned up about their relative and started shouting at me down the phone, it instantly puts you in a thing of, oh, okay, yeah. Well, if people are nice to you, then it makes you nicer to the next person, and it's like a paying it forward thing, and it's a really important thing to do, and it's a very simple thing to do. I remember a homeless man told me once when I used to live in Germany. He used to say, a smile a day costs nothing, but it's beyond priceless. Don't know what the translation is, but yeah, and it's true. If you smile at people and you're nice to people, then it's going to make them be nice to the next person in turn. And if you see somebody being, like I said, there's always going to be a little bit of FUD here and there, and if you see that, maybe reach out to the person and just say, is everything okay with you? Because some people have bad days, and that can make all the difference to somebody, just reaching out and actually being nice than reaching out. And I think that's the difference. But I think before, there was a lot of, like I said, PvP things, and it's famous for trolling and all that sort of stuff. And I think that this is where we can make a difference, and we can so we aren't what you just said, I think, is very powerful. The PvP, right? Like competing. I don't view that UFD is competing
with any other cryptocurrency meme projects. I view what we're doing that we are leading, that we're doing our best, right? I'm not saying we are the best or that we are, but that we are through our actions every day, right? Every single day. And what goes on with me, with you, with everybody else, all the 400 people that are with us right now on this live stream, is that we are taking like the right actions to be leaders, and that like whatever change that we want to see in the meme coin sector, we could talk for the next hour about the shenanigans that part of the meme coin sector has been involved in the year that I just the year that I've been around. Let that'll all take care of itself. It's almost like the snakes will eat the snakes, however you want to say it, and that we focus on doing what we need to do to further our project along and to provide an example. And I've heard that, and it's a big honor to hear that a couple of people said, like, I started a project and I'm modeling it after UFD, and I'm like, that's awesome. That means we're making a positive impact out there, and I hope you're successful. And that's great, right? Like together, everybody really truly can do better, because we want people to come into crypto. We want people to buy meme coins. We want people to join our community, right? And if we want that, then we need people to feel like that it's a predictable, safe, reliable environment. And now that we're officially an old gangster OG meme, I'd say that we're on that road, right? And that, I mean, do you agree with that? That we could attract, like, when new people come into crypto and they decide to look at meme coins, we want to have this giant shining horn where people are like, I want to go check out what this is about. And when they do check it out, that, hey, this is really a cool place. There's a lot of good things going on there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, if it's leading by example, isn't it? And like what we're doing is just, like you said, there's so many different communities, and we're not the community with the biggest market cap or anything else, but we have proved that we're here, we're consistent, we're doing it, and we're trying to make a change. And in us making a change is making other people kind of also make those changes too. And there's a lot of people that are already making those changes, but it's just now all of those good communities can kind of come together and help each other. So,
and you forgot to mention, we are the unicorn horniest community in meme coins.
We are the horniest unicorn community. Yeah, you picked a good one when you did unicorn fartcast. There's all sorts of innuendos that come along with it.
Georgie, I didn't pick it. I did not pick it. Okay, I'll tell the story very quickly. I'd done a live stream about silver and gold. This would have been December 16th, I guess, 2024. I did a live stream about, and I love silver and gold. I did a live stream and I talked about Fartcoin because the market cap had just hit 400 million right around that period. And everybody knows Susie had sent me this article, whatever. And I got done with the live stream and I called my cousin's son, who's a great guy, smart guy. And I was talking to him and I'm like, can you believe this Fartcoin is $400 million? I was like, it's crazy. I was a crypto skeptic and I was like, it's insane. And then I said to him, I said, I should start a meme coin. And he said, yeah, and you should call it Unicorn Fart Dust. Because I'd always referred to crypto as Unicorn Fart Dust. But you're right. I mean, it's like magic how it all kind of, in a very synchronistic way, fit together. And then we know the magic that's occurred since then. So, yeah, it's been, Georgie. Oh, you want to tell us about, we've got a contest going on right now, correct?
We do. We've always got a contest of some form going on. Before I say that, I was just going to say, and you got sort of like proof first thing, which is why you're still here. But when you got hacked, the community rallying around you, just all these really good people went, no, you're a good person. So they wanted to make sure that you weren't screwed over and that you were being looked after. So hence why they donated the beans back and everything else to you. And so I think you got kind of like an early insight into that. From the beginning, but that's why you're still here.
Unbelievable. And MoonPay and Ledger have supported, they sponsor Ron's Basement that makes these live streams possible. Both great companies, right? I mean, there's like both of those companies are big value adders into crypto. MoonPay's the on-ramp. Obviously, Ledger is the crypto security leader. So there were great companies, great people that I think really recognized kind of this magical situation that was UFD. And, it's real simple. What we all do is just the next right thing. And in the core group of quality people, I mean, I'm telling you, Georgie, and you know this as well as me, and I'll ask your opinion on this, but the core group of dusters, and I'm not talking about like a small group or an elite group, or I just mean the people that are really involved in this project on many different levels, and there are hundreds and thousands of them. Every single one that I've met are just unbelievably good people.
Yeah, and that goes for you too, though, Ron. Like, one of the things that they clearly saw as well is the magic that's in you and Susie, because they wouldn't be sponsoring you if they didn't see the potential. And the fact that they got you over to Paris to the Ledger conference and stuff like that just goes to show that they've got they understand the ethos and they understand the vision for the future. And so yeah, it's an awesome thing.
And if we want crypto to be successful, that's what everybody says. Like, we want more, then we need to have good projects, right? I mean, and that's what we as a group and a lot of other projects are doing as well. Like the good projects, Crypto Vic said it. There's going to be a meme coin Hall of Fame, and we're working every day to get ourselves into that. So you want to tell the community about the contest that we have going on?
Yeah, so obviously we have just celebrated our first year, and so our IP has come out, and we now have a contest called From Dust to Destiny, because that's where we went. We went from nothing to now our destiny is like massive things ahead. And basically, we want everybody to create anything you want, really. Look back over the last year of UFD, look back at stuff you've already created, looks back at all the songs, the videos, make compilations of that, make memes, whatever you want, duster diaries, anything you want to basically just show, the last year of UFD. It doesn't have to be the whole year, because not everybody's been involved in it for an entire year. But if you can just put something out there, some cool content, just to show what UFD means to you and what your UFD story is, or the story of UFD itself. So there is 20,000 beans up for grabs. Our lovely narwhals have donated some more. We had it running in December, but the narwhals decided that they felt it was a really nice initiative, so they wanted to donate some more. So we have that. We have some NFTs again from the nice communities that have donated or will retire, donated some, and Long Neck Legends, and we've got a few different bits and bobs. So we just want to get as much content showing your love for UFD and all the things that have happened the last year. So get your entries in. That ends on the 22nd of January. So you've got a little bit of time to put stuff together, and we appreciate all your efforts. And
what are people looking at on the screen right now, Georgie? Can you see that?
That is a picture of me and you and Charlie Makes in Paris. I look very small. I'm sure you weren't that tall when I met you.
I was freezing cold because my mommy told me I should bring a coat and I didn't. So, and there is, look at that. Yeah. There's the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Okay. Thank you, Georgie. There was one more. Hold on here. You got one more minute. Speaking of what you talked about earlier, what we talked about people doing nice things, I wanted to show this real quickly. Hold on here. I want to show a little message that I got from one of our viewers this morning. I'll just leave it in this format that shows kind of the people that we have in this community. He said, and I didn't ask his permission, so I kind of did a screenshot and edited this, but he said, I'm sure your messages are blowing up all day and tough to sort out, but I've been a diamond hoof since day one and never sold. Just wanted to today to thank you. Thank you for showing up every day. Thank you for being you and building communities, building a community that's so legit and family type feeling, right? We didn't even talk about the F word. I think you said the F word once today, Georgie, but the other F word, family type feeling. I haven't given a poop about price and honesty. And honestly, it's been a breath of fresh air to see the community still pumping. So even in the short, okay, meaning in the difficult market environment, keep grinding, fam. Happy Sunday to you and Susie, and much love. And I think, I just happened to look at that. See if I can pull this up. I had a few minutes before we came on to look at my DMs. Like, that really made a difference to me, right? And I'm not asking people to send me nice messages. I get a lot of very nice messages. I appreciate them all. But I messaged him back and I said, thank you. And I said, I really appreciate you taking the time to write something good. To me, that's a reflection that you're a really good person. And, I think it just goes back to what you were talking about earlier and what we feel in this community. Like, it's actually easier to be nice. I always say that it's easier to be honest. Number one, much easier to be honest. Okay. And trust me, I don't sit here and claim to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't think anyone in our community claims to be perfect, but I will tell you, it's easier to be nice and it's easier to be honest. So anyhow, that's all I got, Georgie. Anything I forgot to ask you? Any parting words you have we got 400 people. Thank you to everybody who's joined us. Thank you to Ledger and MoonPay again for sponsoring Ron's Basement. Please share this with your friends, your family. I think Georgie is a perfect example of the quality of person that we have in this community. And with that, Georgie, I'll shut up and I'm going to give you the stage for some parting words.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same as you, really. It is easier to be nice. None of us are perfect, but it is easier to be nice. You never know what's going on in people's lives. You never know what sort of day somebody's having, so just have a little bit of patience with people and come at them with love rather than, hate, which is something I think we try and do here in UFD. Before I go,
I was going to say, I know. I was like, wait a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah. You might have your upstairs Susie, but I also have a downstairs Ollie. And Ollie, are you there? Do you want to say hello to Ron?
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey Ron.
Hey Ollie. That's I call him outside Ollie because I always hear he's outside chopping wood, but he's in the basement. Hi Ollie. Another great duster, guys. He's got his own walkie-talkie. Maybe he's communicating with Susie and we don't know about it, right?
Did you get all that? Over?
He's probably on a delay.
He is on a bit of a delay, but never mind. You send your love anyway, don't you, Ollie?
I do. Horns up,
everybody. George, ask him if he has any words of inspiration for the UFD community.
Do you have any inspiring words for the UFD community? Over.
Let's go to Valhalla!
Thank you, honey.
Unicorn Fart Test is in many ways a special and unique project. One of which is we communicate with our spouses via walkie-talkie. Right? We are like I've said before, we're on the leading edge of technology. So, hey Georgie, it's been great. Thank you on behalf of myself, all the people in the UFD community. Growing and growing. We're up to almost 450 people with us live right now. It's been great visiting with you. We love you. We appreciate you. And man, it just feels really good to be part of this project and what the future is going to hold for us.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I won't keep talking for much longer, but I just want to say, obviously now we've got our IP, we're going to have loads of exciting things coming along. Fixless and a few other people are working on the merch in the background. So yeah, there's loads of exciting things to come. We've got MemeCon coming in April, so now we've all had a little Christmas rest. We're going to be smashing on with organizing that. And yeah, thank you so much to Ron and to Susie for being the amazing people that you are. And thank you to just everybody in the community that works their butts off, because there's so many people out there, like I said, way too many to mention, but we see you and we appreciate you. And so horns up, everybody.
Yeah, I always feel guilty when I start naming names because I know there's like so many more. And I always tell people, I'm not saying your name, please. We appreciate what you're doing. I'll end with this for the fourth time. This is a community-driven coin. And do your research. Ask AI, ask anybody in crypto. The number one thing that determines the ultimate success, including the chart for a crypto, is community. And that's what we have. So thank you, Georgie. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you soon.